Guess what, you guys? I painted my kitchen cabinets and I am living to tell about it. This is something I never thought I would do. It is the one thing that even though I have never been in love with my dated kitchen, I have always said, I am not gonna paint the cabinets. Oftentimes, it just doesn't seem to work. It scrapes off, it's a lot of work, the finish is never that good, and it just to me is not worth the effort. But let me tell you something. I found a product that I said, you know what, if I would ever do it, I guess this is what I would use. And, well, I kind of fell in love with it. Now, do not get me wrong. This is still not for the weak of heart, and it does definitely take some work and some time. But if you ever are thinking of painting your cabinets, this is definitely the way to go, and it is so worth the outcome. I am so excited to show you what I did along the way, some of the tips, some of the things that I've learned that make a difference, and get you acquainted with this awesome product so you can use it too, because this is the secret to gorgeous kitchen cabinets that are painted at home. Obviously, you can see that my kitchen is just kind of outdated. It was kind of just stuck in the early 80s, late 70s, I don't know, sometime back there. And it kind of just has had nothing done to it since then. The cabinets kind of had that orange hued stain to them that really is just not something I'm looking for. And so my kitchen kind of felt dark, which you've probably noticed in videos. Also, there's kind of a lot of grime on the cabinet doors. They've just been used, they've had a lot of wear, and they just really needed some freshening. The handles were getting used and kind of worn out and just not looking that great, so I was kind of ready for a little bit of a refresh. This is a process, I will admit. It takes a little bit of time, but if you ever want to go to the work, save some money, and paint the cabinets yourselves, this is the way to go. Obviously, to start, you just want to take off all the cabinet doors, and for me, the drawer fronts. Obviously, each kitchen is going to kind of be made and put together slightly differently. Mine, the drawer fronts come off of the drawer boxes, so I just unscrewed those, and then for the cabinets, I just undid the hinges, took those off. Mine, as you can see, are on the outside, which is kind of rare for a hinge anymore. Most of them are hidden on the inside of the door, but mine are still on the outside. We will talk about the hinges later. After you get all the hardware off, you want to make sure to take it all off. You may want to also check to make sure to see if yours has any type of bumper on them. That's these little felt or rubber pads that just help so the door doesn't bang against the wood box. If they are on there, make sure to take them off. You may need to use a razor blade to get a clean space to take them off. But just make sure to take them off because you don't want to paint over them. I broke this up into kind of 3 different steps. Now, obviously, each kitchen is going to be different and the way you do something may be slightly different, but there are 3 general steps that I think you're going to follow. You want to start by deglossing your cabinet doors. Deglossing is just a liquid that's going to take off any grease or grime that's spilled off, but is also going to rough up the finish of a stained cabinet. You can't really tell honestly to the naked eye, but it does roughen up the finish on that stain. So that will give the paint something better to adhere to. After you degloss them all really well, just make sure to get into the corners and just follow the instructions on your deglosser. You then want to prime them. It is very important to prime, especially if you have dark stained cabinets like I do. I am using a stain blocking primer. This is just going to make sure to give a good solid surface and backdrop for the paint and block out any of that stain to leak through. This does take a little bit of time, I will admit, but it is a very important step. And the thicker you put on the primer, the better. Not so thick that it's dripping all over, but having a good thick layer of that primer is going to have a really good coverage, and that way you won't see a lot of streaking when you start to go painting. I found these little plastic pyramids to be an awesome tool. I don't know if you guys can find them. I just found them at the home supply store. They are awesome because they do not puncture the wood, they do not puncture the paint, they just elevate the door enough so that you can paint around it without having to lift it up and touch the wet paint. For me, they were an awesome tool. Also, I love to buy these silicone lids for my paints and primers when I'm using them. They snap on instead of the lid you're using, and then you are able to pour it out easily and not have to wipe it off with a brush every time or have paint go all over that little crevice where the lid fits in, because that's really annoying and hard to clean out. So I love these too. You also want to make sure to prime your boxes of the cabinets. Don't just do the doors, you do have to do the boxes too, but it's worth it. Now, as you can see, I am not doing the insides of all my cabinets, which is why my kitchen looks in disarray, because you just see all of my mess inside the cabinets. But I just found it probably wasn't gonna be really worth the effort of painting all the insides. It was gonna be so much work, and really, you never see them, and I just think with the wear they'll get, it just isn't worth it. But that is totally up to you. I am someone that does tape. There's kind of different people on this issue. Some people think it's good to tape, some people don't. I'm kind of a messy painter, so I always tape my edges. That's up to you. However you like to paint, you go ahead. But for the boxes on my cabinets, I definitely taped. After everything is primed, just make sure to follow the instructions on your primer to let it dry completely until you move on to the next step. Step 2 is when you start the painting process. Now, this paint is by General Finishes, and it is called Milk Paint. It is really, really good paint, you guys. You know, I was very skeptical, but it is an extremely thick paint. It covers really well, and it leaves a gorgeous finish. So, if you need to paint your cabinets, this is the awesome way to go. I picked a white because I really wanted to brighten up my space. It comes in other colors, but a nice bright kitchen is definitely what I wanted to go with. Just follow the instructions on the paint. It's really easy. You can use whatever type of brush you like. You could also roll it if you like. I find I actually like on these wood cabinets to brush it on. I think the graining of the wood comes through a little bit better and I get a better even coat. But that's completely a personal preference, and that's just how I like to do it. I also have really heavy inset wood panels, as you can see in my doors. And to get the paint to really go into all those crevices, I think a brush just works best. I'm someone that likes to follow the lines of the wood. So I did down the sides, I made sure to follow the graining, and then at the top I went crossways, just like the panel that was put together for the door. It did for me take 2 coats. Maybe you'll be lucky and it'll just take 1, but like I said, I think just with the heavy panels and all the little places, it definitely needed 2 coats. What I love about this paint is it can be thinned out with a little bit of water. You don't have to worry about messing with other chemicals or other liquids. Just put a small amount of water with it and you can thin it out if it seems to be getting a little thick. That is such a relief. Once I let it dry in between and gave it 2 really good coats, I was able to move on to the 3rd step. Step 3 is a top coat. Now, I know it seems like after you've painted 2 coats at least on your doors, do you really need anything else on the doors and the boxes? And let me tell you something. This is the game changer. If you've ever tried other paints and they don't work, it's because they don't have this amazing top coat. And I'm not saying that because of the company or anything. This just really is amazing. I'm honestly impressed. What is great is, a tip from the company they gave me is you can slightly tint your top coat with about 10 to 20% of your paint, so it gives it a slight color, so even better coverage. And then you just brush it on. And I know you're thinking, oh my goodness, after priming, after painting 2 coats, you then have to paint them all again? The top coat goes so much quicker. And guys, it is so worth it. Just brush it on. I did give mine, hold back, wait, 3 coats of the top coat. Yes, you heard me correctly. 3 coats of the top coat. But it dries extremely fast and it goes on so much quicker. And it seriously gives it an amazing finish. You're able to wipe it down, it is durable, it makes it just almost like a sprayed finished wood in a factory. Once you have all your top coats on and it is dried, you are ready to assemble back your kitchen. And believe me, this was a long time coming for me. It is a mess and you have to just live through it and your house will be in disarray a little bit, but then you come out the other side and it is so worth it, you guys. Now, for me, my kitchen was old enough that I could not find new hinges. I know. It was one of those things that after I was all done, I was so excited to put it back together and then realized, wait, I don't have hinges. And I couldn't find them. So I had to spray paint mine. Hopefully your hinges aren't like mine and aren't hard to find. And you can either use the hinges you had because they're hidden, or you can find a new one easily. Put them back together, just screw them back on, and I am putting new pulls on my cabinet doors and on my drawers because they needed it and it looks really great. I chose a slightly brushed silver finish. You can do whatever you like. I wanted the pulls on my drawers and I wanted the knobs on my cupboards. Very simple, very clean, nothing flashy, but they do go together really well. As you can see, this was just a really quick kitchen refresh. I haven't changed my appliances. I haven't done anything with the countertop or backsplash. I would love to someday, but right now that just isn't in the works. But I will definitely keep you updated. Don't worry if I do. This just gives a really fresh, clean look to my kitchen. It brightens it up immensely, and it's something you can do without breaking the bank, and that is always great. Believe me, I was so glad when I was able to put my kitchen back together because even though it is a lot of work, it is definitely worth it. So if you're thinking of painting some kitchen cabinets, I would definitely go this route. If you want to know more information about this awesome paint product or anything else I've talked about, we are going to have some links below under more information. It will link to information about the paint, different videos you can watch about the paint, and I think you are going to love this option. I hope this inspires you possibly to think that you can do the work and come out with a great looking kitchen, because I didn't think it was possible, and it is. So if you like this video, make sure to click like below and click subscribe to become part of the Gray Boxwood family and be up to date on all of our videos. Leave comments, let me know what you want to do with your kitchens.